Where does sacred hunting going? What are you trying to do with this long term?
Yeah, good question. Thank you for providing that platter for me to dish out some vision. Yeah, I really see these experiences as I just followed my intuition on what felt most alive. And these experiences are creating a space for men and women to step into a new way of being. And I want to create that opportunity to explore and experiment with new ways of being on a bigger scale. And there's some of the ideas that I had talked about when we were on the hunt together, and then there's some other ideas that I have. And when I think about the blockchain space and I think about some of the things that people are doing, there's a lot around democratizing and making the way that we live in society more egalitarian. And that was a huge cornerstone of our hunter-gatherer ancestors. Mm-hmm. There was a lot more egalitarianism. There was a lot more checks and balances that made it impossible for one person to have so much power and so much wealth. And I don't think there's anything wrong with capitalism, but there's a reason why they call it late stage capitalism. It's gotten to a place where it hasn't evolved in the way that it's needed to evolve. And so there's a way to use that beautiful template and evolve it a bit using things like blockchain technology to democratize and make, living more egalitarian. And so I have some ideas to create a project that brings some land under management. And to be honest, that might be under the blockchain as I continue to research and learn those technologies, but it might also be using some other method, because my organization, Sacred Hunting, is a nonprofit. It is technically considered a church. And who the largest real estate holders are in the world? The Catholic Church. Mm-hmm. And I will likely never get to that level, but imagine how far I can get if I, aim big like that.
Sure.
And so to have a church, which is, around sacred hunting, but its emphasis is wholly on going back to our origins in the way that we relate to each other, in the way that we relate to the earth, in the way that we relate to our version of higher power, that is compelling to me. And when I think about higher power, I had a Mormon father and Hindu mother, so couldn't be further apart. They were PhD, scientists, so they really didn't practice either. But I had a blank slate. And I got lucky enough that when I experienced higher power, it was through a felt experience. And it was a personal relationship.
Rather than an indoctrination.
Exactly. And what I want to invite for people is a reconnection to that. Reconnect to your version of spiritual, connection, your higher power, whatever is true for you. And let's do that together in a community that doesn't have to look like, how it often does in these conscious circles, which is let's get 40 acres and put a bunch of houses on it and just live off the grid and all that kind of stuff. That's great too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that might play a big role, but more than that, like going deeper, what does it look like to, have more trusting relationships with our friends? Here's a crazy idea, shared finances or things like that, right? It's like, I'm not ready for that. I don't have the consciousness where I'm ready for shared finances, but I have in my heart a vision where we can explore things like that and create a more beautiful world, because, we are creatures that are sharing and loving and compassionate. And we have enough food in this country to feed everybody, but 50% of our food goes to waste. So what's the difference? The difference is we're not telling a story to ourselves and to others that is commensurate with the material resources that we have. And so I just want to help us at the individual level live in a certain way that creates the ability to tell, greater stories. And hopefully that comes to some tipping point and we can do something at a bigger level. But for now, I'm happy to change 6 men at a time and go from there.
I love how you've related what we've gotten away from as society and culture, and what the possibilities are. And you're going back to maybe more kind of an ancient way of thinking, maybe not so long ago, depends on how far you want to go back. You've related that and you've connected it with technology, and how that technology, the most recent kind of obscure, almost in some cases misunderstood parts of that technology might be able to bring us together as a whole. I love that way of thinking. It's forward thinking. It's thinking about community, and it's thinking about getting back to the roots of who we are. And I think if more people did that, we'd live in a better place and people would have more opportunity. And I mean, you just mentioned the food thing, 50% of our food being, going to waste. We talked about mental health earlier and the challenges that we have there, and how much of that could be positively impacted, not cured, not fixed, but positively impacted by thinking at a larger level and at a different level. And again, there's going to be people listening about it. That's fucking weird, man. You're so far out there, Scott. Mansal, that's just not even, no. Like, it's too, and to me, what that says is it's too big an idea for you right now. And you just haven't maybe been exposed, or you're not ready, and you're not open maybe to the conversation at a greater level. And I certainly am. I'm fascinated, and maybe a Sacred Hunt's a place to go to become open and discover these things. I got to tell you, it certainly exposed me to some things and made me realize some things that I need to reconnect with. And interestingly, it was nature, as I was very connected with it as a younger man. And, I'm not old by most standards, but, getting reconnected with it at a different level, but at the same, which was really basic. It was just about being outside and being present and taking it in and appreciating what was around us. And I feel, there's so many people in the last couple of years, and I believe other people feel this too, man. And maybe they didn't have those experiences earlier in life or at any point in their life. And I have to tell you, in the last 2 years, since we've effectively been on this sort of pseudo lockdown here, particularly in the United States, I've done a lot of traveling, went to a lot of national parks, went to a lot of outside spaces. And you know what I see every time I go there? It looks like fucking Disneyland. There's people everywhere. They're shoulder to shoulder trying to get this experience, trying to get connected to nature in some way. And they're just dealing with mass humanity in these very, quite frankly, sacred places. And if I'm just talking about the Western United States here in California, I think about what people like John C. Fremont or John Muir and Ansel Adams, and capturing it through imagery and things like that, the things that they were exposed to then and what we see, or, what they've written about. And now what we see now when we go to take those things or experience those things, it seems to me people are somewhat desperate, whether knowingly or unknowingly desperate to get connected with it, and maybe don't know how. So again, I'm fascinated by the concept, and never stop exploring that, man, because I'm interested in knowing your thoughts and being a part of it as it may come together over time.